Greetings to all of you. On this, the 71st Republic Day of our nation. Before I share my short thought with you, I would just like to congratulate the 90 cadets of the 17th Maharashtra Battalion for their tremendous skills on display and their wonderful turnout. God bless you all. I'd also like to congratulate our young singers who sang the national anthem in such a beautiful way. We are indeed very proud to have such talented youngsters as part of our extended family in Ahmednagar College. God bless you too. This morning, as I was pondering about what thought I should share with you, my mind wandered to the headlines that we seem to be bombarded with on a daily basis, be it on the television, be it on the social media, be it on the newspapers, and so many other forums that we have at our disposal these days. And one of the headlines that came screaming back at me was one that I read as long as 1 decade ago, about 10 years ago. I had read this headline that is stuck in my memory. This statement was made by the Bishop of Pune, Bishop Thomas Dabre, who, while speaking about the evils that ail or face modern civilization, said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, from the womb to the tomb, life is being harmed and destroyed." Let me repeat that. He went on to say prophetically, from the womb to the tomb, life is being harmed and destroyed, wherein he went on to say that the atrocities against the girls and the women in our country are on the rise. Women are being violated on a daily basis, and so many other justifications that he gave those 10 years ago, none of which has really changed over the past decade. In fact, it has only gone on to become worse. In the age of globalization, where rapid growth and progress has taken place, the gap between the rich and the poor continues to grow. Whereas a few select few have thousands of crores of rupees at their disposal to spend, more than 75 crore Indians live at less than rupees 100 a day. There is a frustration in the minds of today's youth because of lack of job opportunities and so many other issues, and therefore you have them spilling out on the streets. The plight of our farmers 10 years ago and even today remains the same, if not worse. All this not exactly good news for a country that is slated to be among the third largest economy in the world in the year 2030. On constantly being bombarded with these headlines or these new items on a daily basis, the question that should come to your mind, all of you, and my mind, the so-called educated class, is that how do we treat these headlines? How do we treat these news items which are screaming at us every day? Are these merely a statistic for us, where we look at and we have a table discussion over a lunch table or maybe over tea and forget about it and try to pin the blame on somebody else, something that all of us are very good at? Or do we think we can contribute to the situation in whatever way possible to bring about a meaningful change? To illustrate this very point, I want to share with you a story. I think I have shared with you this story which my mother told me many years ago. Maybe about 8 or 10 years ago, I probably have shared this story with you. It's a story about a man and his mission to save the life of his fellow human beings, probably at the cost of his own. The story is based somewhere in the Second World War, when Hitler was at his prime, when Nazism was at its prime. Hitler's brutality was there for everyone to see. In Nazism, the basic idea was that the Germans are a superior race and all the other races are inferior, especially the Jews. who he thought are a parasitic race and should be eliminated from the face of the earth. There was a reign of terror that existed in those days, in the 1940s, where the most feared people in that time was the secret police force of Hitler that was called the Gestapo. Gestapo was the secret police force that Hitler had employed to carry out his brutal elimination of all the Jews that they could find. When ordinary German, the story goes on to say, would walk along the streets and they would see some Gestapo or a secret policeman walking on one side of the road, they would cross the road, put their head down and pretend to go away, hoping not to be noticed by these dreaded police that was called the Gestapo. The man in charge of the Gestapo was by the name of somebody called a General Heinrich Himmler. He was a dreaded general. Among the two most feared people in Germany in that time, one obviously being Hitler, and the other one was Heinrich Himmler. Why? Because Himmler was the one who used to execute all the orders given by Hitler to eliminate the Jews. They would be shot down. They would be simply gassed by sending them to gas chambers. They would be sent to concentration camps. Some of them would be used as guinea pigs for experiments. Their fault was that they were Jews. Boys, girls, young women, old men, all women, all shot down like dogs by the Nazi Gestapo. Heinrich Himmler, who I just mentioned, who was his right-hand man and his general, had a peculiar medical problem. He used to get tremendous stomach pains, colic and intestinal cramps, which made him practically unconscious. They summoned all the top doctors in Germany. None of them could treat Heinrich Himmler with any effect. Even morphine, which is supposed to be the strongest painkiller, would not work on Himmler. So they started researching for doctors anywhere in the world who would probably be able to handle such a disorder, and they came across one gentleman in Finland by the name of Dr. Felix Kersten. Dr. Felix Kersten was a well-known, world-renowned authority who would treat colic disorders by various techniques, and he was summoned by Hitler to come and treat his trusted general, Heinrich Himmler. When Dr. Kersten came, he examined Himmler, and cutting a long story short, he treated him by simple massaging techniques that he learned from some Tibetan monks and was able to relieve Himmler of his pain. And when Himmler became okay, he went back to his evil ways, and Felix Kersten was sent back to Finland. His pain would keep coming back every now and then, and again, Frederick Kersten would be called back. Felix Kersten, pardon me. And as these visits went on becoming more and more frequent, Dr. Kersten developed a certain rapport with Himmler. They became friends. He won his confidence. He also came to be known that these Germans were killing people mercilessly, and Dr. Kersten felt very bad about it. That Jews were just being killed for no reason at all, except for that philosophy that the Nazi Germany had, and decided that even if it was a risk of his life, he would do something about it. So what did he do? He used his goodwill with Himmler, and whenever he used to come and treat Himmler, and these lists of names would come down to Himmler from Hitler's office to get rid of the Jews, he would tell Himmler that these people did not deserve to die, and have Himmler sign a pardon for all these Jews. And in this way, Frederick Kersten was able to save the lives of tens and thousands of Jews. To make a long story short, when the war ended, Dr. Felix Kersten was subjected to many court cases all over the world because he was Hitler's point man or right-hand man's personal physician. And people wanted to prosecute him. And if he was really indicted, Dr. Felix Kirsten could even be hanged in his own country. However, thousands and thousands of pages of evidence and personal testimonies by thousands of Jews that he had saved because of his goodwill with Himmler acquitted Felix Kirsten of all his charges. And later, Dr. Kirsten went on to become a hero in his own country and was given the nation's highest award, and even went on nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Why am I telling you the story? There are lessons to be learned from this story. And that is, more than ever, there is a need for ordinary people like you and me to take up a cause that is close to our heart and pursue it selflessly with the utmost of conviction, whatever the obstacles might come our way. And hopefully, among you and me will rise a champion which will rid our country of at least some of the evils that it is plagued by. As the great Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, "It is from what we get that we make a living, but it is from what we give others that we can make a life." And therefore, on the auspices of this, our 71st Republic Day, let each one of us recommit ourselves of doing our bit for the betterment of our fellow men, and in doing so hope that our children and thereafter our children's children might lead better lives. God bless this great country and this great institution of ours.